This is an extra video that I'm providing for the convenience of anybody for whom ancient Greek geography is perhaps unfamiliar, as may be the case for many of you if this is the first course on ancient Greece that you have taken. So this does not provide anything that is required for you to know for completion of the course from the standpoint of exams or anything else, but it's just simply meant to orient you on the maps, so that everything that we talk about geographically will make more sense. What I'd like to first have you do is to pause your video and go to your Sakai resources page and open all the documents that are maps. You will find maps on the ancient Greek world, two of them, one called Athenian Empire and the other called Map of Ancient Greece, and then there's also a map of Rome. Please pause your video and open those maps. Okay, did you find the maps? So you should have three maps open: Map of Ancient Greece, Roman Empire, and Athenian Empire. All right, I will just cover some of the basic geographic spots that are useful for later discussions. There are other geographic places that I cannot fit up here on the map, so on the board I should say, so I won't be able to necessarily cover everything here written down and also have everything else you might possibly need, but this will at least give you a start to orient you for ancient Greek and ancient Roman geography. First of all, I'd like you to find the map that's a yellow and blue map, very light pastel. It's called Map of Ancient Greece. Please get that one in front of you. Okay. You should be able to find very quickly, if you go to the center of that map where it says Andros, the city of Athens, which is directly to the left or the west of where it says Andros, right in the middle of the map. If you find Athens, you will see that it's on a spit of land there. That's in fact the spit of Sunium, S-U-N-I-A-U-M, not provided for you there. But also Athens is part of the region that is called Attica, and that word Attica is provided for you just south of Athens. Now Athens, therefore, is in the eastern part of the southern section of mainland Greece. If you go down south to what is called the Peloponnesus, then first of all you have to cross that isthmus, which is that very narrow strip of land that runs west, and you will come across the city of Corinth. You also will bypass another smaller city called Megara, which plays a very big role in the Peloponnesian War, and actually plays a role in one of the plays we don't read by Aristophanes, the one called Acharnians. Although we don't cover it here, just for time's sake, it's one that you should go and read on your own, and you can find a copy of that translation on your Perseus database. Okay, so you get to Corinth, which is in the topmost section of the Peloponnesus Peninsula, and then when you go down south, you'll see Sparta near the bottom of that peninsula, and along the way, you will pass Argos. Okay, so be sure that you can find those cities. When you go northwest of Athens, you will go into the region that is called Boeotia, and when you come into Boeotia, and you can tell that you've come into Boeotia when you pass Marathon and then you pass Leuctra, you will see a city called Plataea, which is actually important in the Persian Wars when the Greeks defeated the Persians. And then, of course, you'll see the wonderful city of Thebes, well known from tragedy with Oedipus Rex, but it also makes a couple of nice references in comedy. Boeotia was the area whose lake was renowned for eels as a wonderful delicacy. Lysistrata has a quick reference to them. So Thebes was often associated with the eel. So that's something to pay attention to when you come across those references in the plays. All right, so find those particular cities for the Greek world. There are some other places also that you should be familiar with. The Aegean Sea is the whole central sea there with all the islands. In between mainland Greece on the west of that yellow and blue map, and Asia Minor, which is on the east side, and which includes up around the Hellespont area and the entrance to the Black Sea, which is up in the northeast corner of the map. That includes up there the city of Byzantium, which is the forebearer for the later cities of Constantinople, and now in modern day in Turkey, the city of Istanbul. So Asia Minor incorporated essentially what today is Turkey. The west coast of Asia Minor is referred to as Ionia, although the northern section is actually called Aeolia. But Ionia is directly east of Athens and mainland Greece, and the cities of Ionia have a close connection with Athens, including this important city of Miletus that we'll talk about later. So make sure that you see where Asia Minor is. It's east of mainland Greece, which is over here. Okay? Down in the Aegean Sea itself, you'll find the city island of Milos, which is sort of tucked away a little bit south of Athens. And the island of Milos doesn't have a particular role in general in Greek culture, but has one big historical significance that is going to play an indirect role in Aristophanes' play Birds. We'll come across that when we see it. But Milos has a rather unfortunate role in the big war between Athens and Sparta. Okay, to direct you now over to your Roman Empire map. Rome itself is on Italy, which is the country directly west of Greece. Italy sort of sticks out like a boot into the Mediterranean Sea. So Rome is on the west coast, so it would be facing the Tyrrhenian Sea. And it's about halfway down where the Tiber River comes out from the mainland Italy out into the Tyrrhenian Sea. Carthage is down south, and Carthage is surprisingly close to Rome, despite the fact that it's actually in North Africa. If you know where the country Tunisia is today and where the city of Tunis is in Tunisia, Carthage is located very close to that. So it's in North Africa, and it's the portion of North Africa that sort of juts this way when you go east of Algeria. So that little section in there, which is Tunisia today, is where Carthage is. And Carthage was one of the principal adversaries of the Romans and ultimately came to grief in their war with the Romans. Ironically, this series of wars, the Punic Wars, have a very profound effect on the connection of Rome with the Greek world and how Rome was able eventually to adopt Greek literature and ultimately to create its own form of comedy that we just refer to as Roman comedy. The island in between Carthage and Rome that caused so much dispute between Rome and Carthage initially is Sicily. Sicily is also important in the Greek world because there were many cities, especially Syracuse, in Sicily that were colonies of the Athenians and the Spartans and the Corinthians. Sicily also had itself a close connection with the Peloponnesian War because many of its cities allied with either Athens and Sparta, and there was actually a huge fight that broke out there for a 3-year period when the Athenians sent a huge fleet in a campaign to try to take down Sicily. That turned out ultimately to be unsuccessful and would have devastating effects on Athenian politics and military strategy in the latter portion of the war with Sparta. So pay attention to Sicily. Sicily also, as I say, is the foremost point of contention between the Romans and the Carthaginians. And that area of contention is what will eventually drag the Romans and the Carthaginians through a slightly more than 100-year period of conflict between those two cities. So be sure that you can find all those locations on your different maps or on other maps, so that when we refer to these and other locations in the ancient Greek and Roman worlds, geographically these places will make sense and you'll be able to follow the stories more readily. Okay, I hope that this has been helpful for you, and you can now return to the main video series on ancient Greek comedy.